Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I'm the niche fragrance collector and I am in love with all things niche perfumery. I'm a big fan of Creed. Now recently I did a lineup with a young man by the name of Josh. I redubbed him the Aromatic Kid, and that's basically because he just likes those sort of aromatic, fresh kind of fragrances. Now he's a 19-year-old, so he was 19 when he bought his first Green Irish Tweed, the first Creed. He's about 21, 22 now, and he has in his collection Aventus and also Silver Mountain Water. Now, I'm his pusher. I'm the guy who set him up in this. He's my nephew, actually, and he's been always into perfumes, and it's been a joy for me to share with him niche perfumery, essentially. Now, we recently did a lineup of all the Creeds, put all the Creeds that I have in front of him, and I said, all right, you pick the ones that you would like to talk about. And as we went through, so he would spray, smell, go, yep, this one here, put them aside. Now, he came across BOIS DU Portugal. The truth is we didn't labor over it. So spray, smell, yep, good, move on. There's others in my collection here that he sprayed. He's like, yeah, not so much for me. And he sprayed this one, and essentially he said, too serious. So not for him. So today, I want to talk about the Too Serious fragrance. There is something more to this fragrance or to this perfume than just I guess the very light aromatics that exist within the Creed range. I find that it's serious from the get-go. BOIS DU Portugal falls in the mossy woods category of the fragrance wheel. It starts off with a wonderful lemon sparkling. It almost reminds me a little bit of those who are familiar with the original vetiver, also from Creed. It has a similar vibe. There's this very bright citrus lemon sort of explosion that happens. The difference being that I'm picking up some other lime. Now picking up some other citruses in there. Now when I look at Fragrantica, it basically says that the opening is bergamot. And I'm like, man, there's more than bergamot here, surely. So I did some investigation. The official notes, according to Creed, are it has an opening of bergamot, lemon, lime, mandarin, and basil. In the heart, you're finding lavender with spices like nutmeg, clove, and coriander. Then in the base, you're going to sandalwood, patchouli, vetiver, and cedarwood. So in that opening, I am picking up some other kind of herby thing. As I said, when I saw that it does have things like basil, when it does in the heart have spices like the nutmeg, the coriander, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, again, Fragrantica is very basic. It says bergamot, lavender, and then these woods down the bottom. But there's a lot more going on with this particular fragrance. Now, why serious? Why would a 22-year-old feel that this is way too serious? When I first started to experience BOIS DU Portugal, it actually reminded me, and it's funny how our olfactory is connected to certain memories and things of that nature. One classic scene, so here's the example of how our olfactory and taste is all linked together. So Ratatouille, this is for the kids now. In the movie Ratatouille, Ego, when he first tastes the ratatouille, and you see that just like, and it just takes him back in time, and he remembers his mother, and I love the contrast of colors where it's sort of very dark, very dismal, and then all of a sudden this brightness, this happiness, and more importantly, the love of that person who nurtured him. BOIS DU Portugal is very similar to me. So this reminded me of my dad. My dad never had the money to buy a Creed. So it's not like he was wearing BOIS DU Portugal, but it is a fougere. So it is that fougere style of fragrance. So I'm gonna say he was wearing something because it reminded me of my dad. It reminded me of those classic men in black and white movies, the likes of Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, the likes of Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, for those, because I actually recently said to someone, like Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, and they looked at me like, Casa who? I'm telling you that it was like a knife to the heart. It was like Casablanca. It was one of the classics. Anyway, so for those who may not be familiar with those other movies that I mentioned, think of it as Han Solo in Star Wars, or even Obi-Wan, where these guys there's a quiet confidence, there's a masculinity to these men. They're flawed, I mean, because they're not perfect, but you can rely on them. And I think that's what it is. You can rely, it's a fragrance that gives you, and it sounds a little bit sounds a little bit all too pretentious. I think what I'm trying to say is that this fragrance reminds me of positive male role models. So men who have played a positive impact on my life, whether it's from a movie or in actual, as I said, my father. This fragrance actually exudes that. Somehow it's captured that scent. Well, for me, for my olfactory memory, it's captured that very moment. So it's that kind of fragrance. If you like fragrance that start citrusy, move to like a herbal, or in this case lavender, and then finally into woods, then Bois du Portugal is one of those classics that you should test out. It's a classic that's in my collection. I've worn this no matter what season, whether it's a glorious day like today, sunny and summery, or whether it's cold, Bois du Portugal works. This is a super versatile. The bottom line is, this is a classic, well put together man. Someone that just has that confidence, has that quiet confidence about him. I'm going to say it's the woods, and I think this is what it is. It still retains that brightness and the herbal components. And I'm going to say even the basil that's in there early on, the lavender definitely playing in there. But then it's those beautiful woods. I mean, cedar wood and sandalwood. The vetiver is also, you find a good barbershop, fougere style fragrance has that vetiver component to it. When it comes to its projection, it's a moderate. So it doesn't have a huge punch. But I'm telling you, people can pick up this fragrance around you. I find that I need to spray at least 4 to 5 times on this particular fragrance. I'm normally a 3 spray kind of guy, but for this one here, I do like to spray a little bit more. It creates a little bit more of a push on the fragrance. Also gives me a little bit more longevity. I'm finding about 6+ hours on the actual fragrance. If you're looking for something that is a hidden gem within the Creed lineup, I would recommend to you Bois du Portugal. Great masculine fragrance. It is definitely one of those that doesn't fall in that unisex category. This is definitely a masculine leaning fragrance for men. So there you have it, Bois du Portugal. Strongly recommended. Is this something that you're familiar with? What are your thoughts on it? I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks everyone. We'll see you all on the next episode.